The following program is an opinion program. The opinions expressed by the hosts and guests of this program are not the opinions of the management, staff, and advertisers of this station. Please direct all criticism, concern, and adulation to the hosts of this program.
Welcome to Alabama Politics This Week. I am Dale Jackson. I'm a radio talk show host. You can hear my shows Monday through Friday from 5 until 9 a.m. on WVNN in Huntsville and from 10 until noon in Birmingham on Talk 99.5. With me, as always, Mecca Music. She is the CEO of 256today.com, smart news for smart people. And it's been a rough week. So this is probably going to be a relatively rough show. Our guest this week is Matt Murphy. He's a talk show host out of Tennessee. He used to work in Alabama in Birmingham on Talk 99.5, and he has been in Nashville for about a year, I think, and he experienced the situation up there firsthand, and we're going to talk to him a little bit about that and his thoughts on all of that. Also, I have a parting shot about the 25th Amendment because I love talking about it. So let's get started. Let's go ahead and get to that 2-minute warning. All right, Mecca, a lot happening this week, and a lot of it is pretty bad. And I'll tell you, the shooting in Nashville, the shooting in Huntsville, you have 6 dead in Nashville at a Christian school. You have a police officer dead in Huntsville. All just very, very terrible stuff here. They're both very bad. It's just heart-wrenching. I drove by the scene of the situation in Huntsville, and I saw all those cars going by on the side of the road, the police cars, and told my wife, I said, that's a downed officer. And that's exactly what it was. How do you get through a week like this? I mean, everyone deals with this a little different, but this has just been a terrible week.
It's been an absolutely awful week. I mean, like you said, from Nashville to Huntsville, and there was the officer who was shot and killed, and then another one critically wounded. I think that you've seen a lot of outpouring of support and for the children, for the school, for the officers here. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where you go to.
Okay, let me ask you this. You know, when we talk about the politics of this, it always drips in here. Okay, mm-hmm. Not so much in the Huntsville situation, right. But there is politics in the Nashville situation. Mm-hmm. You have the transgender stuff that's been going on. It's been kind of weird to see some people. There's been no rallying around the victims in this case, the identity of the victims. We're not really rallying around them. When we see a group targeted, whether the Sikhs, whether they are Asians, whether or not they're African Americans.
Do you mean like because it's a Christian school?
Yeah, it just seems like there's been more of a focus on the identity of the person who did it, and where she started and how she got to where she was, including ABC's. God, I can't remember his name. I want to say Major Garrett. It could be wrong. But I don't know. Terry Moran, excuse me, sitting on the desk during the breaking news saying, oh, yeah, and Tennessee just passed these transgender laws. I don't think he meant it that way, but it almost came off as if excuse-making. And I think and my audience definitely views it that way, and I do too.
Well, there's actually been a lot of pushback against that. I mean, not only from one of the victims' families, who's like, I never want to hear that name again. Mm. You know, I want to talk about my uncle, Mike Hill, and that, I think that there is pushback on that, is what I would say. I have noticed that. Yeah, but also you have to say this was a somewhat unique situation. I think there's only been 5 female mass shooters like this before.
My question on all of this really wasn't, we're way over time here, but what are the rules? Because in any other, if this person had won an Academy Award, we'd be calling him a man. That's the thing that kind of surprises me about this, that they're quote dead naming and using her female identity more so than she was transitional into a man.
I think if you notice on some of the notes and things that were left behind, both names were used.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm just talking about how the media has a certain demand that you use the proper pronouns and stuff like this, and they don't seem to be following that here. And it's just kind of, it was a question. Well, let's move past this and talk about some politics here in the state of Alabama on the issue of abortion. I found this very interesting. We've seen some Democrats, Vivian Figures, a state senator from Mobile, offered up some bills that basically would have walked back some of the abortion laws here in the state of Alabama, including putting in rape and incest exemptions and things of that nature. The Alabama legislature said, we're going to create the toughest abortion law in the land. And some of them did say, if Roe v. Wade is overturned, we'll come back and we'll readdress it. And I said at the time, the hell you will. You absolutely will not come back and do this if you're victorious in this, because you will never roll these things back. My argument has been, and I made a Yellow Hammer Now video this week on this, it was Democrats have no leverage here on this particular issue in the state of Alabama.
What do you mean they have no leverage?
They pushed this fight to the Supreme Court. The Alabama and Republicans wanted to. Don't get me wrong. For years, Republicans all over this country said, okay, 13 weeks with exceptions for rape and incest. 22 weeks, exceptions for rape and incest. No, we're taking that to court, blowing them. No, we're taking it to court, blowing them. No, you're taking it, blow them. Well, the Republicans only had to win once.
Right.
And they got that big win at the Supreme Court because of Trump judges and all the other things we already know. And now, Democrats can't even get, with the exception of rape and incest.
You have to look at it from the other side. The lack of compromise from the Republicans, just like you were pointing on the Democrats, will that come back and bite them? Will there be pushback against that?
Absolutely. I definitely think if you look at 2022 and you look at the midterms, I think you could say abortion played a role in that. I think you absolutely could say that. You could probably say the same thing about 2020, I think. It maybe not a huge role, but it activated people significantly. And if you have a bunch of elections in a row, and the Democrats get their own justices up there, you don't think they're going to unring this bell?
Right.
And they're going to go that way. So we may see a little back and forth on this thing. I doubt it takes 50 years, like we went from Roe v. Wade to now. But I think you could definitely see it, and the lack of a compromise could lead down the same path.
But I also have to say, this is one of those issues that it's kind of hard to compromise.
Oh, no. Oh, absolutely.
That's like probably you're asking the most.
Oh, if you're pro-life, and then you go and you say, okay, but except rape and incest, well, then all of a sudden you're pro-choice. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, you're soft on that issue. Okay, let's talk about something a little lighter here. Tax rebates and tax cuts. That's what the Alabama legislature is talking about. Here's the interesting thing about this. State Senator Arthur Orr, a representative from Decatur, a state senator from Decatur, he has decided that not only is he going to come up with a plan that advocates for tax cuts in the grocery tax cut, he's also going to be the sponsor of the tax rebates in the way Kay Ivey wants it. $400 for a single person, $800 for a couple, and you have to be a tax filer in order to be eligible for that. That was one of the questions people seem to have about that. It looks like the sales tax cut is winning. I mean, that's what it looks like, or maybe losing, if you want to put it that way, that it's going away. And that seems where the energy is on this. But it's kind of strange to see Orr offering up both of those things.
I mean, I think we'll have to see. And does that say sale tax winning? Should it say sales?
That's me. I wrote that,
winning?
so it's kind of illiterate, as everyone was giving me a hard time earlier. But yeah.
Okay. So listen, no, this is a very interesting, and this is something to pay attention to. The legislature is going to be passing the Alabama Jobs Act and those acts right now, but this will be the next thing that's happening. And there's going to be a lot of political gamemanship. I'm actually very much looking forward to seeing how this unfolds.
I had a theory this week, and it's kind of like my gambling theory, and it's sort of there's so many different things that everyone says, I tried to do this, but they wouldn't let me. So you get nothing done.
No, I don't think that's going to happen on this one. I think it's not quite like gambling. I'm not saying that's not a small factor. Like there's too many people with too many. Like they're trying.
There's only two ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, but the third idea is nothing.
And nothing does typically win sometimes in the legislature.
And sometimes nothing. It's like, and honestly, it's a lot like school choice too, where you have three sides in that. There's the charter schools or school choice. No, I want school choice, and no, we're not doing anything. Those are sort of the three sides here. And I think next week we'll probably talk a little bit about the AEA trying to get back in on that front, but that's for another week. All right, let's talk about the Space Command, not the Space Force. Space Command HQ, supposed to come to Alabama. This move was made. There were plenty of things done where they looked to see which was the best place for it. Huntsville regularly came out on top. Colorado at times ended up third, sometimes fifth, and it was always not really much of a question here. When Joe Biden got into office, Democrat state like Colorado said, what's up, man? Hook us up. Don't do this. We're your boys. Don't give it to Alabama. That's a red state. And I think Colorado is going to win. I think they are sort of...
If Colorado gets this, after every report has said, I mean, practically every report has says Redstone, Huntsville is the best location, then it is 100% political.
I mean, I was going to say, what I would have said to explain further was either they're going to win that way or they're going to win by doing nothing, by making no decision, and then you just leave it where it is, and where it is Colorado. But I've heard from behind the scenes, I'm sure you have as well, that no, this is a game. That like this is David Ignatius and the Washington Post coming out and saying stuff about, oh, they're about to do this to try to nudge it in that direction at the behest of some of the leaders in Colorado. Thoughts?
Listen, after all these efforts and all this, foot dragging and everything else, if they could take it to Colorado, they would have done it. That's not to say it won't happen, because you can also say the same argument was like, well, if they haven't given it to Huntsville yet, they're not going to. So there's two sides to it, but I would honestly say there is no way you cannot argue that this is not a political decision if you go against practically every report that put Huntsville on top.
You probably know this better than I ever would. Has there been any money spent here locally towards bringing this here? Okay. And I don't mean locally. I mean with has the Space Command spent any money coming here, getting ready, and all this other stuff? Has there been any cash spent?
They've picked out their location on Redstone Arsenal.
Okay, so I mean, you don't really have to write a check for that. I mean, it's like, we'll just take that piece of government property. Right. I don't think that's really an issue. But yeah, I think that to me is kind of telling.
That was an OTR a couple weeks ago. Should read it more.
Maybe that's where I read it.
Probably.
Who knows? All right, coming up next, Matt Murphy, WTN out of Nashville. We'll talk to him about that situation and that sad story there. Stay tuned.
You work hard to earn little escapes, because doing your best means being your best. So let us help you discover your best at Premier Dental Spa. With our unique blend of cosmetic, dental, and spa-like aesthetic services, you'll leave feeling relaxed, refreshed, and renewed. Make sure the best you is here to stay, and book your appointment online today at premierdentalspa.com.
Hey folks, Dale Jackson here for my friends at University Kia. Now look, I love Kias. I've driven plenty of them. I used to have a Kia Sportage. When my son was born, my wife said, no, we got to get ourselves one of these big SUVs. The Telluride from University Kia is an absolutely amazing vehicle. You get it at a great price, but you get everything at University Kia at a great price. Learn more about it today. Head on over to universitykia.com. Find the perfect vehicle for you, new and pre-owned. They got it for you. universitykia.com.
Want fun, safe, intelligent fitness programming? Want to build muscular strength, cardiovascular endurance, drastically improved range of motion and mobility, and learn proper nutrition to fuel your life with energy and emotional health? Well, come find out why Iron Tribe Fitness is ranked one of the top 5 fitness programs in America. Come find out why personal training and intentionally working on your current movement patterns individually is not only important, it's just another core value that separates Iron Tribe Fitness from other fitness facilities.
To learn how to get your 2-week free pass, go to irontribefitness.com.
Hey folks, Dale Jackson here, and this is my son, Grant. Now, I'm here to talk to you about Top Shelf Customized Cleaning. He's a handful, I'm a handful, and if I want to stay married, I need Top Shelf Customized Cleaning to come and take care of my house. They do an amazing job for me, and they'll do an amazing job for you. Cindy loves them. I love them. Grant loves them as well. Check them out on Facebook. Top Shelf Customized Cleaning. And don't forget, call them today, 256-417-9122. And when you talk to them, make sure you tell them Grant sent you.
Have you filed for disability benefits but were denied by the Social Security Administration? Or do you need to apply for benefits and are overwhelmed with paperwork? Are you between the ages of 50 to 63 and can no longer work because of an illness or injury? Thousands of hardworking Americans are in your situation. They file for disability benefits every month and are unnecessarily denied their much-needed benefit check. Call now for a no-obligation, free evaluation. We can help you nearly double your chances of approval and get your benefit checks faster. We understand the physical, emotional, and financial impact and will share our insider expertise. There is a time limit to apply. We're here to help you get your disability claim filed and paid as soon as possible. Please, time is limited. So, if you are between the ages of 50 to 63 and can no longer work because of an illness or injury, call right now and let us help you file your disability claim with the Social Security Administration.
Well, welcome back to Alabama Politics This Week. I am Dale Jackson. With me, as always, Mecca Music. And our guest this week, Matt Murphy of WTN in Nashville, formerly of Talk 99.5 in Birmingham, and he hosts a show on WVNN as well. The guy has been around, and now he's in Nashville, and it's unfortunate that we get this opportunity to speak to him at this time because it's a really, really sad situation. Matt, this shooting at this Covenant Christian school in Nashville has gripped the nation because of who the shooter was, who the victims were, how all of this was carried out, the bravery of the police officers, almost an anti-Uvalde, all that stuff. It has a ton of different angles to it. You're right there on the ground. Walk us through what you've seen so far there in Nashville.
I mean, well, obviously, Dale, it's an incredibly shocking situation, as it always is. Sadly, we talk about these types of things far too much. And in this case, it is in my neck of the woods and in my backyard. Here's what we know. A woman, 28 years of age, decided to go to a former class of hers. I mean, she went to a school that she attended, which is also a church, Covenant Christian, and she opened fire and killed 6 people, 3 young children and 3 adults. What we don't know is exactly why she did it, and because she is described as a transgender person, a lot of people are putting a lot of motives to her intent without really understanding what they are, and we're waiting to get the manifesto to find out exactly why she did what she did. But obviously, she wanted to kill herself, and she decided to take other human beings as a result. And it's an incredibly sad time in Nashville and around the country.
Well, and Matt, Dale kind of touched on this earlier, that the targeted group, the victims, they were part of a Christian school. And, that made me think of a lot of parents who put their children in Christian schools, private schools. It's for safety. But this just truly shows that it's everywhere. There's not necessarily a safe place, unfortunately.
Well, no, you're right. And, Mecca, I'll say this. This place was as safe as could be in terms of a place that did not have an active armed SRO on property. I know that they had gotten a tremendous amount of training in terms of the possibility of an armed individual coming into their property, and they exercised that training. And frankly, a lot of people's lives were saved. A lot of young children were saved as a result of the training of the teachers who sheltered them within the classrooms, barricaded the classrooms, and made sure that the assailant could not get in the classrooms. 6 people are dead, and that's 6 too many. But every person that was killed in a hallway, and every person that barricaded themselves inside of a classroom was saved. So that's something that we can all learn from. But there's also much more to learn in terms of the motives of the individual and why she chose to go back to a former school of hers.
And Matt, I would like you to talk about the police response for just a moment. I've heard it described as it's like a police training video. They were just so precise. Thank you. They were just so precise and just no distractions. No, they went and got the job done. Tell me a little bit about that and how the public feels about these officers and the job they did.
Well, the universal praise for the officers, obviously, but there's no doubt, Mecca, that this video, if you've not seen it, I encourage you to look it up. It's 6 minutes. It's split into 2 sections. It's 2 different officers' body cams, and there's no doubt that this will be used as a training tool for future officers to show them exactly how to do their job. These officers entered the facility. They began clearing the facility when they heard shots on the 2nd floor, and it gives me goosebumps just talking about it. The officer, he immediately stopped what he was doing and said, "We have to go," and they ran to the gunfire. We talk about officers and military personnel running to gunfire while others run away, and you can see it in real time in this video, and it's just an incredibly heroic action on part of those police officers, and the potential is that they saved lives that day.
A mutual friend of ours, Cameron Smith, Matt, told me this week, he'd gone to that school or that church, and he knows it very well. And you mentioned this earlier, and I just want to highlight this for a second. No armed guards at that school. It's one of the reasons why she went there, because some of the other places were heavily fortified. But, as you mentioned, and I don't know how many people have seen this. There were like something like 80 door breaches because when they locked those doors and they put those guards down, they didn't even open the doors when the cops came. The cops had to kick them doors in after the fact to get those people out. That was their security plan, and it worked. For lack of a better way to say it, it worked, and I think that's just pretty important to point out.
Well, I mean, it's a sad reality of the world that we live in, Dale, but it is true. And I talked to Brink Fiddler, who is the former Metro Nashville police officer who trained that school, and he said it is a part of training that you go into your classroom, you fortify in that classroom, you lock down the door, and they have barricades on the inside of the door, like foot wedges to prevent entry into the door, and you don't believe anybody that comes to that door. And there were multiple shotgun breaches of doors where students and teachers would not believe, because you're taught, it's a sad world we live in, but you're taught, even if somebody says, hey, it's the police, open up, you cannot believe them. You have to wait. And, you know, if it's the police, they will either have a key or they will get into the doorway some way to save you. So a lot of students' lives were saved, and sadly, 3 students and 3 teachers lost their lives. It is the world we live in. And I just caution people to suggest that they understand the motives of this individual because she was transgender. I think more is about to come out about this person regarding her life that's going to shed a lot of light into why she went back to that school.
I agree with that, Matt. Thank you very much. I'm sorry we had to get together in this instance. Hopefully next time we talk about something a little better or a little nicer. I will say this, though, to everyone else who's listening. My wife, I coach a T-ball team, and she was talking to people after that about what's going on at their schools. I mean, it became a topic of conversation. Remember, everyone thought about it a little bit more this week. And I just think it's really sad state of affairs. But, Matt, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. Mecca is on her way out, so the show will get a little bit better.
Thank you, Matt.
As we move forward. It's Alabama Politics this week. Hey, folks, Dale Jackson here for my friends at University Kia. Now, look, I love Kias. I've driven plenty of them. I used to have a Kia Sportage. When my son was born, my wife said, no, we got to get ourselves one of these big SUVs. The Telluride from University Kia is an absolutely amazing vehicle. You get it at a great price, but you get everything at University Kia at a great price. Learn more about them today. Head on over to universitykia.com. Find the perfect vehicle for you, new and pre-owned. They got it for you. universitykia.com.
You work hard to earn little escapes because doing your best means being your best. So let us help you discover your best at Premier Dental Spa. With our unique blend of cosmetic, dental, and spa-like aesthetic services, you'll leave feeling relaxed, refreshed, and renewed. Make sure the best you is here to stay and book your appointment online today at premierdentalspa.com.
I'm a small business owner, and after the past 2 years, I'm ready to hire. But it seems like every time I find a good worker, they don't have a driver's license. Hard to get to the job if you're not allowed to drive. Support the bipartisan driver's license bill and get folks back on the road. Workers drive, Alabama. When we're free to drive, we're free to work.
Hey folks, Dale Jackson here, and this is my son, Grant. Now, I'm here to talk to you about Top Shelf Customized Cleaning. He's a handful, I'm a handful, and if I want to stay married, I need Top Shelf Customized Cleaning to come and take care of my house. They do an amazing job for me, and they'll do an amazing job for you. Cindy loves them, I love them, Grant loves them as well. Check them out on Facebook, Top Shelf Customized Cleaning. And don't forget, call them today, 256-417-9122. And when you talk to them, make sure you tell them Grant sent you.
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for dental visits. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for transportation to my doctor. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay to have my prescriptions delivered directly to my home.
Did you?
These and more are important benefits some Medicare Advantage plans may give you. So if you're eligible for Medicare, call us right now because you may be eligible to enroll in a plan with amazing additional benefits. Some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for services like these: dental visits, vision coverage, hearing coverage, home delivery of drugs, even gym memberships. Some plans may include no copays for many services and 0 deductibles. Don't wait to find out if you're eligible to enroll in a plan that may include some of these wonderful benefits you deserve. Call us right now. The call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation. Make this free call now to learn if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan that may include additional benefits you want. Call us right now.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Welcome back to Alabama Politics This Week. I am Dale Jackson. Thank you very much for being here. I'm about to jump into the parting shot. We'll talk about the 25th Amendment. And as we do this, I'm just going to remind you, I've been wholly consistent on this issue. Just stay tuned. We'll get to that here in just a very quick second. First, let me remind you to sign up at yellowhammernews.com for the 7 things you should be talking about today. I write that every single day. Even if I'm on vacation, it still shows up. The 7 things you should be talking about today. yellowhammernews.com. Sign up for my email blast, and you'll get that as well. Right now, though, let's go ahead and jump to the parting shot. My parting shot this week is directed at Joe Biden, and it's about the 25th Amendment. Now might be the time that we have a serious conversation about this. This week, we saw 2 different instances where Joe Biden was unable to provide what the nation needed here in the form of some comfort. He made some jokes about ice cream and kids and all sorts of stuff as he was coming down before he started talking about the school shooting. Okay, you forgive that. You know, it was just maybe out of bounds, but whatever. The next day he comes out and he's asked if it was an attack on a Christian school and if that was the reason. And Joe Biden said, I just don't know. And he was said, well, Josh Hawley, the senator from Missouri, thinks so. And he said, well, if he thinks so, I think not. And just laughs. It's weird stuff here. This is inappropriate stuff, inappropriate behavior on his part. And I'll be the first to tell you, Donald Trump did a lot of this stuff as well, where he did not represent the nation the way it was supposed to be represented at certain times. And when that happened, they then had weeks of conversation about whether or not he was fit for office. I think it might be time for that conversation. This isn't the only reason we need to have that conversation. But it might be time to start having that conversation about Joe Biden, not just solely because of this, but this is just a little icing on the cake for all of that. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for watching and listening to Alabama Politics This Week. And we'll see you next week.